You know that feeling when you're finally settling into the couch after a long day, ready to binge on your favorite show, and then your phone rings? Well, imagine that times 10. I was just about to crack open a cold one and watch the latest episode of Space Nights when the emergency beacon blared through my ship's comms. Captain Ben Carter, we've got a distress signal from a Varlix spacecraft stranded in Sector 7G, said Ava, my ship's AI, with a tone that somehow mixed urgency with a dash of annoyance. I sighed, knowing there was no way out of this. All right, Ava, patch me through to the Varlix ship. The holographic display flickered to life, revealing Zola, a Varlix officer I'd met on a few diplomatic missions. Her four eyes blinked in unison, and her scales shimmered a worried blue. Ben, thank the stars you answered. Our ship's main drive is down and we're stranded. We need your help, she said, her voice laced with desperation. Zola, you sure know how to sweet-talk a guy, I replied with a smirk. Send me your coordinates. I'll be there in a jiffy. As the coordinates appeared on my screen, I couldn't help but mutter to myself, there goes my relaxing evening. I quickly set the course and engaged the hyperdrive, my ship, the Starlight Rogue, humming with power. The jump to Sector 7G was quick, but the scene that greeted me wasn't pretty. The Varlix ship, the Astra Prime, was floating dead in space, surrounded by debris and occasional sparks from damaged sections. Looks like someone had a rough day, I quipped to Ava. Captain, their power is down to emergency levels. I suggest docking and assessing the situation, Ava responded, ever the practical one. I maneuvered the Starlight Rogue into position and docked with the Astra Prime. As the airlock hissed open, I stepped aboard, greeted by a wave of humid, stale air. Zola was there to meet me, her usual composed demeanor replaced with frazzled worry. Ben, it's worse than we thought. The main drive is fried and our backup systems are failing, she said, leading me through the dimly lit corridors. All right, let's see what we're dealing with, I replied, rolling up my sleeves. Show me the engine room. We arrived at the engine room, a chaotic mess of sparking wires and shattered components. It looked like someone had thrown a rave in here and forgot to invite the maintenance crew. Well, there's your problem, I said, gesturing to the smoking wreckage. What happened? Zola sighed. We were attacked by space pirates. They disabled our main drive and left us for dead. We managed to fight them off, but now we're stuck. I couldn't help but chuckle. Space pirates, huh? Always ruining someone's day. All right, let's get to work. Ava, analyze the damage and give me a list of what we need to fix this mess. Ava's assessment was grim but not hopeless. Captain, we'll need a new flux capacitor, a quantum stabilizer, and several power conduits. Most of these parts can be salvaged from nearby derelict ships, or scavenged from the Starlight Rogue if necessary. I nodded, turning to Zola. Looks like we're going shopping. Do you have any idea where we might find these parts? Zola's eyes lit up. There's a scrapyard not far from here, run by a shady trader named Brock. He might have what we need. Great, I said with a sarcastic grin. Just what I wanted. A trip to Brack's discount scrap emporium. Let's hope he's in a good mood. We hopped back into the Starlight Rogue and set a course for the scrapyard. The place was a chaotic mess of broken ships and spare parts, a junkyard in the middle of space. Brack, a greasy alien with too many arms and not enough hygiene, greeted us with a toothy grin. Captain Carter, what brings you to my humble establishment? He asked, rubbing his hands together. Brack, we need parts. A flux capacitor, a quantum stabilizer, and some power conduits, I replied, trying to keep the disdain out of my voice. Brack's grin widened. Looking to fix up a ship, are we? I might have what you need for a price. Negotiating with Brack was like trying to wrestle a slippery eel. He haggled and hemmed and hawed, but eventually we struck a deal. I traded some surplus equipment from the Starlight Rogue for the parts we needed. As we loaded the parts onto my ship, Zola couldn't help but chuckle. You really have a way with words, Ben. Years of practice, I replied with a wink. Let's get back and fix your ship. We returned to the Astra Prime and got to work. Fixing the main drive was no small task, but with Ava's guidance and Zola's help, we made progress. Hours passed in a blur of welding, wiring, and swearing, but finally the engine roared to life. Well, moment of truth, I said, wiping sweat from my brow. Zola, fire up the engines and see if she holds. Zola nodded and activated the controls. The ship shuddered, lights flickered, and for a moment, I thought it might all fall apart. But then, the engine stabilized and the ship hummed with power. "We did it!" Zola exclaimed, her scales flashing a triumphant green. I couldn't help but grin. "Told you we'd get it done. Now let's get you out of here and back to friendly space." We undocked the Starlight Rogue and escorted the Astra Prime to a nearby station for repairs. As we arrived, Zola turned to me, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Ben, I don't know how to thank you. You saved us." I shrugged. "All in a day's work. Just promise me one thing." "Anything," she replied. "Next time you run into space pirates, call me before they wreck your ship," I said with a laugh. Zola smiled. "Deal." Back on the Starlight Rogue, I finally had a chance to relax. I plopped down on the couch, cracked open that cold one, and turned on Space Nights. Ava's voice chimed in, sounding almost amused. "Captain, you never cease to surprise me." "Just another day in the life, Ava," I replied, taking a long sip and savoring the moment. As the show played on, I couldn't help but feel a sense of satisfaction, saving a stranded ship, outsmarting space pirates, and helping an old friend. It wasn't how I planned to spend my evening, but it wasn't half bad either. "Hey, Ava, remind me to put intergalactic mechanic on my resume," I said with a chuckle. "Noted, Captain," Ava replied. The next day, I found myself in one of the seedier spaceport bars nursing a drink that probably had more in common with engine degreaser than anything fit for human consumption. Zola had insisted on buying me a drink to thank me, and who was I to refuse a free beverage? "Ben, I have to say, you're a lot more competent than you look," Zola said, raising her glass in a toast. "Gee, thanks," I replied dryly. "I'll add that to my list of glowing endorsements." The bar was a mix of every species you could imagine, and a few you probably couldn't. The bartender, a hulking brute with 6 arms and a perpetual scowl, served drinks with the enthusiasm of a tax collector. "Zola, I've been meaning to ask," I said, taking a sip of my drink and wincing at the taste. "What were you doing out in Sector 7G anyway?" Zola's scales shifted to an embarrassed pink. "It's a bit of a long story. We were on a diplomatic mission, and let's just say, we took a wrong turn." I couldn't help but laugh. "A wrong turn? In space? Don't you have navigational charts?" "Hey, it happens to the best of us," she replied, her eyes narrowing playfully. Just then, a group of rowdy space pirates barged into the bar, laughing and shoving each other. One of them, a scrawny guy with a face only a mother could love, spotted us and sauntered over. Well, well, if it isn't Captain Ben Carter," he sneered. "Still playing hero, are we?" I sighed, setting my drink down. "You know, I was having a nice evening. Do we really have to do this?" The pirate, clearly not one for subtlety, swung a fist at me. I dodged, and his momentum carried him into the table behind me, sending drinks flying. The bar erupted into chaos as patrons either joined the fight or scrambled to get out of the way. Zola was a blur of motion, her 4 arms making quick work of the pirates who came at her. I, on the other hand, was trying to avoid getting hit while occasionally throwing a punch or two. "Ben, behind you!" Zola shouted, and I turned just in time to duck a bottle aimed at my head. It shattered against the wall, showering me with glass. "Thanks for the heads up," I called back, grabbing a chair and swinging it at the nearest pirate. He went down with a grunt, and I spun around to face the next one. After what felt like an eternity, but was probably only a few minutes, the fight started to die down. The remaining pirates, realizing they were outmatched, beat a hasty retreat. The bar was a mess, with overturned tables, broken glass, and groaning pirates littering the floor. "Nice work, partner," I said to Zola, catching my breath. "You're not so bad yourself," she replied with a grin. With the excitement over, the bartender grudgingly let us stay and even offered us a round of drinks on the house as a thank you for dealing with the pirates. I was pretty sure the drink was just as terrible as the first one, but at least it was free. "So what's next for you, Ben?" Zola asked, sipping her drink. I shrugged. "Who knows? There's always something needing fixing, someone needing saving. It's a big galaxy." Zola nodded thoughtfully. "Well, if you ever need a partner, you know where to find me." "I might just take you up on that," I replied, raising my glass in a toast. "To unexpected adventures and good friends." "To good friends," Zola echoed, clinking her glass against mine. As we sat there, talking and laughing, I couldn't help but feel a sense of contentment. Sure, the galaxy was full of dangers and challenges, but with friends like Zola and a ship like the Starlight Rogue, I knew I could handle whatever came my way. After saying our goodbyes, I returned to the Starlight Rogue. As I settled into the captain's chair, Ava's voice came through the speakers. "Captain, I've detected an unusual energy signature nearby. It might be worth investigating." I groaned. "Can I catch a break? What is it this time, Ava?" "It appears to be an abandoned research station. There could be valuable salvage or data there," Ava replied. "All right, set a course. Let's see what we can find," I said, feeling the familiar rush of excitement. The research station was a hulking structure, drifting silently in the void. As we docked, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. "Ava, keep the engines running. I've got a bad feeling about this," I said, grabbing my blaster and stepping onto the station. The station was eerily quiet, with only the hum of machinery and the occasional flicker of lights breaking the silence. I moved cautiously, my blaster at the ready. "Ava, any idea what happened here?" I asked, scanning the area. "There are signs of a struggle, but no life forms detected." "Be careful, Captain," Ava replied. I continued through the station, finding more evidence of a fight, scorch marks from blasters, overturned equipment, and shattered glass. Finally, I reached the main control room and accessed the logs. "Looks like they were researching some kind of advanced energy source," I muttered, reading the logs. But something went wrong. As I was about to leave, a hidden door slid open, revealing a sleek black drone hovering menacingly. "Oh, great, just what I needed," I said, raising my blaster. The drone shot towards me, firing a volley of energy blasts. I dodged behind a console, returning fire. The drone was fast and agile, darting around the room as I tried to get a clear shot. "Ava, can you hack into the drone systems?" I called out, ducking another blast. "Working on it, Captain," Ava replied. "Keep it occupied." Easier said than done, I thought, taking another shot. The blast hit the drone's shield, causing it to flicker but not fail. I needed a better strategy. I grabbed a nearby metal rod and threw it at the drone, hoping to distract it. The drone dodged, but the distraction gave Ava enough time to complete her hack. "Got it, Captain. The drone is under our control," Ava said triumphantly. The drone hovered in place, no longer hostile. I breathed a sigh of relief and approached it. "Good work, Ava. Let's see what this thing can do," I said, accessing the drone's controls. With the drone now under our control, I sent it to explore the rest of the station. It found several hidden compartments filled with advanced technology and research data. "This is some serious tech," I said, looking over the schematics. "We could make a fortune selling this." "Or use it to upgrade the Starlight Rogue," Ava suggested. "Now you're talking," I replied with a grin. "Let's get this stuff loaded up and head back." As we returned to the ship with our haul, I couldn't help but feel a sense of accomplishment. We'd not only survived, but come out ahead. "Set a course for home, Ava. We've got some upgrades to make," I said, settling back into the captain's chair. "Aye, Captain," Ava replied, and the Starlight Rogue jumped into hyperspace. Back at our home base, we spent the next few days integrating the new technology into the Starlight Rogue. Ava was like a kid in a candy store, constantly finding new ways to improve the ship. "This new energy core will increase our efficiency by 30%, Ava said, clearly excited. "And these new weapon systems will give us an edge in any fight," I added, admiring the sleek new cannons. By the time we were done, the Starlight Rogue was a force to be reckoned with. I couldn't wait to take her out for a spin. "Well, Ava, I think we've outdone ourselves," I said, looking over the finished upgrades. "Indeed, Captain. We're ready for anything," Ava replied. As we prepared to set out on our next adventure, a new distress signal came through the comms. I couldn't help but laugh. "Looks like the galaxy never gives us a break," I said, setting a course for the source of the signal. "Would you have it any other way, Captain?" Ava asked. "Not a chance," I replied, feeling the familiar thrill of adventure. As we jumped to hyperspace, I couldn't help but wonder what challenges awaited us. But whatever they were, I knew we'd face them head-on, with wit, sarcasm, and maybe a little bit of luck. "Here's to the next adventure," I said, raising an imaginary glass. "Here's to the next adventure," Ava echoed. And with that, we sped off into the stars, ready for whatever came our way.